Hey Internet, it's your old buddy Dominic here with the All-American Casino Guide. We're a channel dedicated to casino games and teaching you how to beat them. If you play blackjack long enough, you're bound to come across people who have foolproof betting strategies that they use to never lose. Now, every single betting strategy is either going to be progressively positive or progressively negative. And that all depends on if you increase your bets with every win or you increase your bets with every loss. We're going to go over the most popular betting strategies that we found on the internet and that we know about personally, and kind of try to dissect them so that you understand how they work. Once you've found the one that you think works best for you, you can go ahead and try to use that as a strategy to maximize your potential payouts. So any betting strategy that uses either positively or negatively progressive betting strategies are all based in the fact that you have winning streaks and losing streaks. It's just bound to happen. But unfortunately, they're not predictable. So you have to be prepared for feast and famine. We're going to start off by talking about negatively progressive betting strategies so that are based on you losing. Every time you lose, your bets progressively become bigger. Now, the first one we're going to talk about is the Martingale strategy, which is probably one of the oldest. And most betting strategies you hear about from people are inherently based on this strategy. It originated in France about the 1700s. So essentially what the strategy, it's real simple. We're going to use these white chips to represent units of bet. So we're not even going to have cards on the table for this because it's just a simple matter of explanation. And we're using the chips only as a visual means to illustrate this for a second. So up here, we're going to have the bet. Down here, how much you've lost so far, okay? So you walked up to any table in any casino, the casino is going to have a minimum bet. Could be $5, $10, $20, whatever. So we're just going to say, I come up to the table and I place the minimum bet down on the table. All right. And shit, I lost. All right. So I've already lost 1 unit. So the next bet I have to double. So I have to double the minimum bet and bet 2 units. All right. And again, I'm having a stroke of bad luck. I'm on a negative streak. I've lost. Now I've lost 1, 2, 3 units. So the next bet I need to double my previous bet of 2. I need to bet 4 units. Now, again, you can't call it a streak unless you lose 3 times or more. So we're going to say I lose again. So now I've lost these 4 as well. So as you can see, I've already lost 7 units to this dealer. I'm on a losing streak. Now, since I bet 4 on the last hand, on this hand, I need to bet 8. All right. But lucky for me, this hand, I finally win. And that means that even though I've lost 7, I still am positive 1 unit. It's not the most efficient method, but it is guaranteed over the course of hands to be the one that pays out. Mathematically speaking, it's infallible. The only trick to this is you have to have deep enough pockets to keep doubling your bets. If you're on a truly bad streak, you could potentially burn through all your money. And if you don't have any more money to bet, you've just lost everything. The other issue is that most tables are going to have, or even casinos are going to have maximum bets. Casinos will gladly keep taking your money, but eventually the dealer might actually have to ask the pit boss for permission to take your bet because it exceeds the table maximum. Just like tables have minimums, they typically have maximums. So this maximum system is actually put into place in order to avoid exactly what we're talking about here, where somebody can inherently keep doubling their bet. You could go from $2 to 2 million if you just keep progressively increasing your bets. The second betting strategy we're going to talk about is the Denim Bear strategy, which is named after the French mathematician. I'm not quite sure I pronounced that name correctly, but I'm not going to care because I'm American. So anyway, his negatively progressive betting strategy is based on increasing your bet by 1 unit whenever you lose and decreasing your bet by 1 unit if you win. So let's take a look at that. So for example, again, I have this 1 unit, I'm gonna bet it, okay, and I lose it. Damn. So using the Denim Bear method, I now need to increase my bet from 1 unit to 2 units. Again, I lose, so now I've lost a total of 3 units. So now I need to increase my bet on this hand by 1. So now I'm betting 3 units because the previous bet was 2, all right? Now, if I win, I break even. If I lose, I then have to increase my bet to 4 units. And if I win this one, then I'm going to take away these 4 from my losses. And now for my next bet, I'm only going to bet 3. And hopefully I win this hand because I'm on a streak. So now I've actually just won 1 unit overall. It can be a little difficult to understand the benefit of this, but inherently this requires you to have less deeper pockets than the Martingale methodology, where you're constantly having to double your bets and also worry about table maximums. Let's do another example where I show you a different streak and how that could work, okay? So if I start off with 1 unit, and I lose it, I'm out 1 unit. So now using the method, I need to increase my bet to 2. I'm gonna lose those as well. Now I'm at 3 units, okay? And now I'm going to actually win this hand. So I win 3 units, but I've already lost the 3 units. So in reality, I break even. Now, using this method, I then need to subtract 1 from my bet. So now I'm betting 2. If I win this hand, I'm up 2. If I lose, let's say I lose, I'm out the 2, but then I increase my bet to 3, and this hand I win, again, I'm going to be up 1. So it's a method where it's a long-term strategy, okay? This one is more long-term. The Martingale strategy is essentially you're always going to win over time, while this one is you're going to consistently be winning money over the course of hands. The third method that's a negatively progressive betting strategy is called the Fibonacci sequence, or the Fibonacci method. Fibonacci is the famous Italian mathematician who found in nature, especially in the focus of nautilus shells, that nature kind of follows this pattern. So with the Fibonacci sequence, it goes in a betting sequence, and so you need to know where you are in the sequence. The sequence goes 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34. If you notice, each number is the sum of the 2 numbers that came before it. So in the Fibonacci sequence requires you to bet 1 unit and say you lose it, all right? Then your second bet is going to be the next number in the sequence, which in this case is another 1, all right? So again, you lose it. So the next sequence requires you to bet 2. If you win this, you break even, all right? But if you lose it, then now you're out 4 units. The next in the sequence is going to be 3. So you bet 3. And if you win this hand, you're actually still -1 overall. You're still out 1. So that's one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of this strategy, because ultimately it requires you to memorize this sequence or understand the sequence. And then also it only really pays out in the first few steps in the sequence. Because if you go all the way to 34, your ultimate, and you finally do win, you're still out 20 units or 20 times the table minimum. So I don't think this is very much of a valid strategy. And quite frankly, I'm not quite sure where it even came from. It must have been the Italians, because only they would come up with something this crazy. Okay. The last strategy we're going to talk about is the 31 strategy, which is very similar to the Fibonacci sequence in regards to it follows a sequence, but it goes 1, 1, 1, 4, 8, and 16. And the reason it's called 31 is then you have all those numbers add to 31. The strategy involves you making a bet where you follow the sequence. So if you bet 1, if you lose that 1, you go to the next number in the sequence, all right? So in this case, we're gonna say we go from 1 to 1, we lose again. Again, we go to the third number in the sequence, we lose it. So the fourth number in the sequence, as we have established, is 4, Now, assume here we win. Finally, we win, which means we've lost 3 hands and we finally won the 4th. So we only are seeing an actual 25% likelihood of winning. So then we cancel out the 3 we lost, and overall we stock 1 in our bank, okay? So since we won, we then have to double our bet of the last one. So we bet 4 on the last hand, so now we're gonna bet 8. So remember I said this counts as 5, so that's 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, unfortunately, we lose. Now, the next number in the sequence after 8 is 16. So now we're gonna bet 16, 5, 10, 15, 16. And this hand, we're gonna win. So if we win this hand, we cancel out the 8 we lost, and we get to bank another 8. So ultimately, in the long run, you're seeing that this strategy has the potential to see a payout. This, in my opinion, other than the Martingale strategy, is probably one of the best negatively progressive betting strategies to use. The advantage of this strategy is it keeps your winnings safe in the long run, and you progressively are going to see your pile of winnings actually increase. It's going to require a large number of hands. It's a very conservative play, but ultimately it doesn't have the wild risk that the other sequences or other strategies in the negatively progressive betting strategies that we've talked about. It doesn't have all those high risk associated with it. Now we're going to talk about positively progressive betting strategies. So this one is called Parlay. Parlay requires a series to go from 1, 2, 3, and 5. Okay, just like the other series sequences we've talked about. So we start off by betting the first unit, which is 1. Now, this is, like I said, this is a positively progressive betting strategy. So it's important you understand that these are all based on increasing our bets as we win. So I bet 1 unit, I win. Now I bank that 1 unit, and I'm going to now bet 2 units, okay? And I win again. I'm going to bet 3 units, okay? And then I win again. So I'm really on a hot streak. So I bet those. Now I'm going to go ahead and just bet 5 units. Remember, the green one represents 5 units. And if I win this one, again, I get to bank it, and now I'm up 11 units. Now this, of course, is assuming I've won 4 hands in a row. And then after that, I go all the way back to 1. What's important to understand with this, though, is if you ever lose at any point in time, it's very important that you go all the way back to the beginning of the sequence. So if I start off by betting 1 and winning, and then betting 2 and losing, I go back to 1 and I win, that counters, it's still going to see a gradual increase in my overall bank. It's all about protecting your winnings. This blackjack strategies in betting are always based on building up your winnings and protecting them. The last strategy I want to talk about is Oscar's Grind. Oscar's Grind came up in the Casino Gambler's Guidebook about 50 years ago, and the author was a mathematician who essentially came up with a conservative strategy where you never make a bet that's going to increase, that's going to result in more than a win of 1 unit, more than your bet. So what you want to do is if you place a bet for 1 unit, you win, there you go. All right, you've docked 1. And then you bet 1 unit, and if you win, you're up to 2 units. All right, now you're going to go ahead and bet 1 more unit again, but this time you lose. So you're going to increase your bet to 2 units. All right, then you win this one. You lose that 1, and you keep stacking up a pile of chips into your bank. Essentially, this is a very long-term conservative play. If you want to understand this strategy better, I highly recommend you check out the Casino Gambler's Guide. It's a rather good read. So that concludes our brief introduction into the world of positively and negatively progressive betting systems. With the next video, we hope to jump more into the math associated with each system and be able to explain them so for people who are more inclined to look at numbers versus just plain old examples. Guys, we need you to leave those comments down below if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. Smash that like button, clickety-clack that subscribe button, and guys, as always, remember, play responsibly.